Wow, you really weren't kidding about wanting to take a deep dive into numerology. This pile of sources is impressive. It seems like you're looking for more than just the basics here.
Yeah, there's a real mix. We've got everything from like a numerology for beginners pamphlet all the way to like some scholarly journal article on Pythagorean numerology.
Mm-hmm.
And then you even threw in like a personal anecdote about someone using numerology to choose their business launch date.
So, numerology, it's the idea that numbers have these hidden meanings that can, like, tell us about ourselves, right? What we're good at, what we should be doing with our lives, even, like, what kind of people we're compatible with. It feels almost like cosmic code breaking. Honestly, that's kind of why I'm hooked already.
I love that. Cosmic code break. That's a great way to put it. And what's fascinating to me is how consistent the core concepts are across all these different sources. They all present numerology as this ancient system with roots in Babylonian, Egyptian, and Greek traditions.
It's amazing how this idea that numbers hold a deeper meaning has resonated across cultures and throughout history.
Right. And it's not just ancient history either.
Yeah.
One of your sources, a blog post from like a modern-day numerologist, claims that Pythagoras, the ancient Greek mathematician, believed that numbers were the key to understanding the universe. He saw a divine order in them.
So tell me, if we were to crack this numerical code, where would we even begin?
Well, you have to start with what are called the core numbers. That's the foundation of a numerology reading. You've probably heard of the life path number. It's calculated from your birth date, and it's considered the most important number because it reveals your purpose, your strengths, and even the challenges you might face in life.
Okay, so that makes sense. Like your cosmic roadmap. But what about the other core numbers? I remember seeing something about an expression number and a soul urge number. What do those tell us?
Those are key players, too. Your expression number is derived from your full name, and it reflects your talents and abilities, how you express yourself in the world.
So if the life path is the roadmap, the expression number is like the vehicle we use to travel on that road.
Exactly. And then there's the soul urge number, which reveals your deepest desires and motivations. It's a glimpse into the driving force behind your actions, the things you crave at a soul level.
And didn't one source mention a personality number as well?
Yes. It represents the image you project to the world. It's the mask you wear, the first impression you make on others. It's like your public persona versus your inner self.
This is already getting complex, but before we get too deep into interpretations, can we break down how to calculate these core numbers? I know one of the sources walks us through determining a life path number, using the example birthday August 25th, 1990.
Right. And this specific example really highlights how the calculation works. So to start, you add up the digits of the month, day, and year separately. So for August, it would be 8. Then for the day, 2 plus 5 equals 7. And for the year, 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 0 equals 19.
But then doesn't it get a little tricky with the bigger numbers?
You're right, you have to reduce them. So 19 becomes 1 plus 9, which is 10. And then that reduces further to 1 plus 0, giving you 1 for the year. Finally, you add the reduced numbers for the month, day, and year. 8 plus 7 plus 1. That gives us 16.
And then we reduce it again, right? 1 plus 6 equals 7. So a person born on August 25th, 1990 has a life path number of 7. But I'm guessing this is just the beginning. What does it actually mean to have a life path 7?
Well, according to one of your sources, a book titled Numerology, Decoding the Blueprint of Your Soul, a life path 7 suggests a deep thinker, someone who is introspective and analytical.
Hold on. Before we get too deep into interpreting that specific number, I think we need to take a step back. I remember seeing something about master numbers in one of these articles. What are those? And could our example birthday have resulted in a master number instead? You know, I'm glad you brought up master numbers because that's what really caught my eye when I was skimming through these sources.
They definitely stand out, right? Instead of reducing them to a single digit like we did with the life path calculation, 11, 22, and 33 each have their own unique meanings.
One of the sources, Numerology, a practical guide, describes master numbers as having a more intense vibration, almost like they represent a higher spiritual calling or purpose.
Exactly. And each one carries a specific significance. 11 is associated with intuition, inspiration, and a deep connection to the subconscious. You might even find that people with this master number are drawn to creative fields or spiritual pursuits.
So someone with a life path 11 might be a visionary artist or spiritual leader.
It's definitely a possibility. Then you have 22, which represents the master builder, someone who has the ability to manifest grand visions into reality. Think about architects, entrepreneurs, anyone who can take an idea and turn it into something tangible and impactful.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. And what about 33? I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes, 33 is associated with the master teacher, someone who embodies compassion and a deep understanding of human nature. They often find themselves in roles where they can guide, heal, and uplift others.
You know, it's funny, as you're describing these master numbers, I can't help but think about some of the sources you sent over. Like that blog post from the entrepreneur who used numerology to choose her business launch date. What if she had a master number in her chart? Do you think that influenced her success?
It's definitely something to consider. While we can't say for sure, numerology suggests that our core numbers can influence our paths and choices. And with a master number, that influence might be even stronger.
Okay, so we've talked about master numbers and the idea that our numbers can influence our decisions. But what about relationships? Can numerology tell us anything about compatibility between two people?
Absolutely. One of your sources, a book called Love by the Numbers, talks about how comparing life path numbers can offer insights into the dynamics of a relationship.
So if I were to compare my life path number with a potential partner's, what kind of information could I glean from that?
Well, some number combinations are considered more harmonious, suggesting an easier flow of energy and understanding. For example, a 2 and a 6 are often said to be very compatible, as both numbers value harmony, cooperation, and family.
But I'm guessing not all combinations are so ideal.
You're right, some combinations might present more challenges, requiring more effort and compromise to find balance. For example, a 5, which represents freedom and change, might clash with a 4, which craves stability and routine.
So it's not about finding the perfect match, but rather understanding the potential strengths and weaknesses that each person brings to the relationship based on their numbers.
Exactly. It's about gaining awareness of the dynamics at play and using that knowledge to navigate potential challenges and build a stronger connection.
This is making me think about one of the sources you sent an article titled Numerology and Conscious Relationships. It emphasized that numerology isn't about predicting the future of a relationship, but rather providing a framework for understanding each other better.
That's a great point. Numerology isn't about finding a soulmate or guaranteeing a happily ever after. It's about conscious awareness and using the insights from our numbers to cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships.
And that brings us back to the idea that numerology is a tool for self-discovery. It's not about rigid rules or predetermined outcomes, but rather about gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves and how we interact with the world around us.
Precisely. It's about using the wisdom of numbers to empower our choices and create a life that aligns with our true purpose and potential.
You know, all this talk about core numbers and compatibility has me thinking, what about those repeating number sequences we hear about? You know, like seeing 11-point lead on the clock or finding yourself constantly surrounded by the number 3 under 3. Some people call them angel numbers. What's the deal with those?
Ah, yes, angel numbers. They seem to pop up everywhere these days, don't they? While none of the sources you provided went into great detail about them, they are mentioned as a fascinating aspect of numerology.
Right. One source even suggested that these recurring numbers are messages from the spiritual realm guiding us and offering reassurance along our journey. But there wasn't much explanation beyond that.
It's true, there's a certain mystique surrounding angel numbers. But I did find a fascinating quote in one of your sources, a book called Spiritual Numerology. The author writes, "Angel numbers are like whispers from the universe, nudging us to pay attention, to trust our intuition, and to remember that we are never truly alone."
That's a beautiful way to look at it. It's almost like these numbers are little reminders from a higher power encouraging us to stay on our path and believe in ourselves.
Exactly. And while the specific meaning of each angel number is open to interpretation, they generally carry a positive connotation, offering support and guidance during times of uncertainty or transition.
I'm curious, what are some of the common interpretations you've come across for these angel numbers? I know we don't have a ton of information from the sources, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Well, I've always heard that seeing 1111 is like a sign of manifestation, like the universe is aligning to make your dreams a reality.
That's one of the more popular interpretations. And it does resonate with the idea of 11 being a powerful number for intuition and inspiration. But there are other ways to look at it, too. One of your sources, a website dedicated to angel numbers, suggests that 1111 can also represent new beginnings, a fresh start on your path.
So if you're seeing 1111 a lot, it might be a sign to pay attention to new opportunities or embrace a shift in direction. That's pretty cool. What about some of the other angel numbers like 222 or 333?
Well, 222 is often associated with balance and harmony. Remember how we talked about the number 2 representing cooperation and relationships? Seeing 222 could be a reminder to nurture your connections with others or to seek balance in different areas of your life.
It's like a little nudge from the universe to prioritize those things. Exactly. And then you have 333, which connects back to that master-teacher energy we discussed earlier. It could be a sign that you're being called to step into a leadership role, to share your knowledge and wisdom with others, or to embrace your own spiritual growth.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Each of these angel numbers seems to echo the themes of the core numbers in numerology. It's like they're reinforcing those energies and guiding us towards our potential.
I think you're right. It's as if the universe is speaking to us in this numerical language, offering support and guidance along the way.
All this talk about angel numbers is really fascinating, but I have to admit, a part of me is still a little skeptical. Is there any real evidence to support these interpretations, or is it all just subjective?
That's a great question. And like with many spiritual practices, there isn't necessarily scientific proof to back up the claims of numerology or the meaning of angel numbers. But for many people, the experience of seeing these recurring numbers and noticing synchronicities in their lives is enough to convince them that there's something more at play.
Right. It's about trusting your intuition and being open to the possibility that there's more to the world than meets the eye.
Exactly. And that's what I find so compelling about numerology and the concept of angel numbers. They encourage us to pay attention to the subtle signs and messages that the universe might be sending our way.
It's like we've been given this secret code to decipher. And the more we learn about numerology, the more we can understand the messages behind the numbers.
I love that analogy. And as we've seen from exploring your sources today, there are so many layers to this system, we've barely scratched the surface.
I know. We've covered so much ground, from the basics of numerology and calculating core numbers to the complexities of master numbers, relationship compatibility, and even the mystical realm of angel numbers.
It's been a real deep dive.
Mm.
And hopefully you've gained a newfound appreciation for the potential power of numbers and how they can influence our lives.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling that after this conversation, you're going to be seeing numbers everywhere.
I'm sure of it. But remember, it's not just about seeing the numbers. It's about understanding their deeper meaning and using that knowledge to empower your choices and create a life that truly aligns with your authentic self.
So what are you waiting for? Grab a calculator, dust off those numerology books, and start exploring your own numerical code. You never know what hidden talents, secret desires, or surprising insights you might uncover. And who knows, maybe you'll even start noticing those angel numbers popping up everywhere, guiding you along your path.
Until next time, happy calculating.